Hey family, so glad to have you here today. Look, I'm looking forward to an awesome time today, but before we get started, I need you to do me a favor and I need you to press that share button to let someone know that we are online. I believe that this is going to be life changing. I believe it's going to be very encouraging and very enlightening to some people who are in need of encouragement. Sometimes during the week, we can face difficulty and challenges, and sometimes we just need that boost in the middle of the week. And I'm praying that this will actually do that. And so, look, press that share button and let everyone you know that we're online at this particular time. Also, let us know where you're watching from if you haven't already. Put your city into the comment section or the chat section. We want to see where our Brook family is watching from today. So listen, we're going to jump right into it. For the last few weeks, we've been in this series called Upgrade. And so we've been talking about becoming the better version or the best version of yourself. And so with that, we want to continue in that theme, but I want to come out of the book of Joshua and I want to focus on another book, a very popular passage of scripture, extremely popular story about David and Goliath. You all know the story, or most of you may know about the story, but I just want you to hang out with me for a few moments. I want to pull some things out of this so that we can teach you some principles that will change your life. So with that being said, look, we're going to come from 1 Samuel 17. Primarily 32 through 36 is where we're going to focus. 1 Samuel 17, verses 32 through 36. And it says this: Then David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with the Philistine." And Saul said to David, "You're not able to go against the Philistine to fight with him, for you are a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant used to keep his father's sheep, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after it and struck it and delivered the lamb from his mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by his beard and struck it and killed it. Your servant has killed both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living God." I want to use as a thought today, free from average. Free from average. God help us today as we deal with being free from average. There's a book I would encourage all of you to read if you haven't read it yet. It's entitled The Next Level, written by David Gregory. In this book, it speaks about a young man who is actually looking to grow into a company, and he's then interviewed at a particular place. While he's being interviewed, the CEO hires him and tells him that his job is to inspect and interview people on each floor. And when he learns what's happening on each floor, to send him an email explaining what he is seeing. The young man agrees, and he goes to each floor, eventually getting back to the top floor to explain to the CEO what is actually happening. But this book is actually a very enlightening book, even though it's a very easy read and very short book. The purpose of the book is really to give the young man an understanding on outlook. So when he goes to each floor, he realized that each floor, the people are there and they stay there because all of them think a certain way. But if they're promoted, it means that they graduated from that level and was able to go to the next one. Level one in the book are people who are self-focused. And when someone becomes self-focused, life loses meaning. Okay. Level one people receive as much information as they want to receive. Their interest is not with the organization. It's just the paycheck. Once again, this book is talking about business. Keep up with me for a few moments. I know where I'm going. So what's happening is the people on level one, they just come to work because I just want to get my check. I don't care anything about this job. I don't care anything about this organization. I don't care anything about the people I work with. The only reason why I'm here is I'm here to get paid. They get their check and they leave. Now, when you have this type of employee or, this type of person, what ends up happening is they work in such a way that they will do other things on company time. So yes, I work here, but I'm working on my side business. Yes, I work here, but I'm running for a political office and I'm working on my campaign, or I'm here and I'm doing, graphic design while I'm at my desk when I'm supposed to be doing something else. And this person is really at the job because they're just there for the paycheck. And so people mismanage that time. So promotion isn't given to that person until they become at least interested into the company. Then the book goes to level 2. Now, if you have graduated from just kind of doing what you want to do, coming in when you want to come in, leave when you want to leave, or if I come in at 8, I leave exactly at 8 o'clock, and 5 o'clock, I leave exactly at 5, or I log out because so many people are working home. Whatever you decide to do, this person is not really interested in the job at all. They don't even have a meaning or purpose for being there. So what they do, they just do enough to get paid. And there are some people who are like that in life. But when you graduate from this level and you go to level 2, what happens is, because level 1 seems to be reckless and level 1 seems to need structure, level 1 needs guidance, level 1 needs instruction, and level 1 needs oversight, then you automatically think that in order to become a better person, you need to abide by the rules. That's level 2. There are some people that what they want to do is just simply talk about the rules, because the only experience they have is dealing with people who don't live by any. So they become legalistic. They become strictly by the Bible. Their code of ethics is the Bible, and it should be a code of ethics, but you can become so critical and so dogmatic, so close-minded, that you can find yourself struggling to actually grow because you become so legalistic. All right. Now, level 1 and level 2 are really the same, to be honest with you, because they're both not working for the organization. Level 1 is doing whatever they want to do. They're selfish and they're focused on their own agenda. Level 2 is focused on the rules, because if we get the rules, then you'll be a better person. But just because I'm following the rules doesn't mean I care anything about the organization. And as Christians, there are people who could actually study their Bible and read it and not even be connected to God, but they want to use their Bible as a way of beating other people up, because I know the rules, you don't. I know my word, you don't. And so therefore, I'm in a better place than you. I'm at another level than you, but not realizing they're both in the same place, because neither of them are really focused on the organization. And in our case, our relationship with God. Then you go to level 3. Level 3 is everyone has a broader scope of life, but the different divisions have a different point of view on how they think things are going. All right, so here we go. Level 1, reckless. Level 2, legalistic. Level 3, opinionated. Now, here's where the people, all right, you've graduated from rules, you've graduated from being reckless with your time, but now you become very opinionated. So everything goes to this filter of what you think it should be like, and where you think it should go, and how you feel about the situation. And before you know it, you are always throwing out your opinion, but your opinion still may not line up with what God has actually said. Or your opinion may not line up with the organization that you are a part of. Now, level 3 is opinionated, but at least they're thinking. At least they're engaging. But what happens is, all right, now that I'm engaging and I'm thinking and I'm opinionated, what happens is you begin to change and grow, and you realize that even though I'm able to critique, the question is, can I create it? Because it is easier to critique than it is to create. There's so many people who can look at what someone else is doing and point out all of the flaws, but yet they haven't created anything themselves. Opinionated about what you wear, opinionated about who you date, opinionated about, should your hair look like that? Opinionated about where you should live or what job you should have or where you should be at this point. Opinionated because you haven't settled down or you haven't done something. Opinionated about someone's lifestyle. And what I mean by lifestyle, I mean the way they're living that you think is against the scripture. But sometimes what we think is against the scripture is actually a personal conviction. So let me explain this. I've learned in my life, excuse me, my voice is acting a little funny here. What I've learned in my life is that we have to be careful. Please hear me. We have to be careful that we do not make our personal convictions doctrine. All right. Now, I haven't asked you guys to type anything, but now we're about to get to work. Listen, if you are able to type, I want you to type into the comment section. Don't make your personal convictions everyone else's doctrine. Just because you have a struggle with something doesn't mean everybody else does. Just because you are struggling with something doesn't mean everybody else is struggling. Just because you have a problem in that area, it doesn't mean that everyone else has a problem in that area. And what we'll find ourselves doing because we think we're Christians and because we think everything that we feel in is God, we have a tendency to put our personal convictions on God. And here's the thing. If God didn't convict it, why did you? I can't get no help online tonight. We are pointing fingers at people, convicting them of things, of a personal conviction. Listen to me, and we have personal convictions. But the question we have to ask is this personal conviction biblical? You could have grown up in a house where there was abuse or an abuse of a particular product of some sort. You could have grown up in a house where things were a little dysfunctional, okay? You could have grown up in a house where you saw people do things that was just really damaging and it was just degrading. So what you did because of that experience, you created a conviction that I'm not going to do that or be that. Now, so what happens is we don't know that just because someone did something, I'm trying to be clear here, but I just don't want to make it so specific. But we have to understand that we saw some people abuse something, but the abuse of something is different from the use of something. So for example, there's medication that is illegal inside of that setting. So if you can get your hands on medication that'll make you feel high and make you feel good and make you not feel any pain and you just love, it allows you to escape the world you're living in. That is the same medication that they use to put in your body after you come out of surgery. Now, one is using it, one is abusing it. And when you grow up in an environment where you saw it abused, you think no one else has discipline to use. God, I'm preaching tonight. So what I'm saying to you is when we become level 3, we become opinionated, but we have to be extremely careful that we do not turn our personal convictions into everyone else's doctrine, because you can have a personal conviction that is not a biblical one. Okay? I need somebody to put some fire in the chat if you know I am telling the truth tonight. All right. So level 1, they're reckless. They're all over the place. They don't even care about the organization. Just give me my paycheck, right? Level 2 thinks in order to fix it, everybody has to abide by the rules. Level 3 says, it's really not about this and that. You should do yourself, and they become opinionated. Now, that's good. Now, level 4 changes a little different, because now they feel like in order to move people and get things done, they begin to live by slogans and mantras and motivational speeches. And that's where a lot of people are. Listen, level 4 is superficial. Okay, they're getting work done, They're meeting people, but now that you've grown out of these stages from being opinionated, now you feel like I'm around negative people, right? That's level 3. I'm around negative people. They always speaking negative and all of that. I don't want to speak negative. I want to be around someone who's going to speak positive. I want positive affirmations in my life. And we should have positive affirmations in my life. Some of y'all are saying, Pastor, please get off this subject because you're stepping on my toes. But I need about 2 more minutes before I get off of them. So here it is. Now we need positive affirmations and motivational speeches because you want to feel motivated. I don't want anybody negative around me because level 3 is negative, level 2 is legalistic, and level 1, they reckless. So if you're going to move in life, if you're going to be successful, you need to have positivity in your life. And now what happens is you begin to gauge the success off of your life by what's positive and by what's good. So what happens is the underlining damage here is that you can become a person who, even though they've been promoted, becomes superficial because everything is about how it looks, not how it is. And so level 4 people, they don't know the difference between their goals, their goals and their leaders' goals. Okay, so now I'm in a place, right? So now I'm struggling because I'm in such a place that I don't know if this is God or if this is me. I think this is God, but I'm not sure. So I assume that just because I want to do it, God wants me to do it. And that's not the case. And so we have to be careful because if you want to reach the goal of becoming a better person, okay, you have to follow and become who God's called you to become. You have to follow the rules. Okay, then we get to level 5, right? This floor is often misunderstood. This is the last floor. But what separated level 5 from the rest of the floors wasn't commitment. It wasn't motivation. It wasn't knowing the HR manual or the Bible, if we want to use that, or the code of conduct. It wasn't that. What level 5 had that the other levels didn't have was outlook. I need y'all to type that into the comment section. Outlook. What happens is outlook. When you get to the level where your outlook changes, listen to me, your whole being, everything about you is this. I see this the way the leader sees it. Outlook. I don't see this the way I see it. I see it the way the CEO sees it. I don't see it the way others see it. I see it the way God sees it. Now, when we start seeing things the way God sees it, now outlook changes because many people have been given church, but they haven't been given the kingdom. We've been giving you rules. We give you regulations. We tell you the do's. We tell you the don'ts. We tell you what to wear, what not to wear, how to come to church, how to leave church, how long you should be in church, what you should do on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We give you all these things, where you should go, where you can't go. We have all of it. But when you have a different outlook, you said, God, where do you want me to be? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? I want to make sure that my will is your will, and I want your will to be done in the earth. And when your outlook begins to change and it begins to look more like God, then what happens is God says, now you got it. Now I can move you. Okay, so now let's get into our text. The Bible talks about David. David is a teenager. And Goliath is standing before Israel, and now he's made a declaration that says, any one of you that fight me, if you beat me, the Philistines will become your slave. But if I defeat you, you will become the Philistine slave. But no one will fight it because their outlook is different. It's not that some of them are there, but they're there because they have to be there. Some are there because they have to get their paycheck. Some are there because, I want to be a part of something, and then I want to be a part of structure and all this, and that's great. And then some people are opinionated. Y'all following me? And then some people feel like if we're going to do it, we got to be motivated. We got to have speeches, and we got to have meetings. We got to have huddles, and we got to make sure everybody's good, and we have to do all these wonderful things. And what's happening is all these people are doing all these things, but their outlook is not the same as God. And David is saying, what's up with y'all? Y'all gonna let this guy talk to us any kind of way? We are God's children. They're not. And I'm not going to allow him to talk to us this way. So what happens is David decides to take on Goliath because he understands something. I want you to put this in the chat if you can. Fulfillment in life comes when you walk out God's plan for your life and not your own. Okay? Fulfillment is when you are walking out God's plan for your life and not your own. I'm going to say it one more time. Fulfillment is when you are walking out God's plan for your life and not your own. Okay, that's fulfillment. When you get to the place where you say, I don't live this life for me. I live this life for God. I'm here because he called me. I'm here because he created me for such a time as this. What am I supposed to do? What he sees is not a giant, but someone who is speaking ill of his God. And during biblical times, when you were in battle or in war, it wasn't necessarily war between nations more than it was a war between gods. Because if your nation lost, they attributed the victory to the God they served. So God gave us victory, or if you were a pagan, this pagan God gave us victory. And so here David is saying the enemy is not going to have victory and think he's going to have us walking in fear. We are going to fight back. Listen to me. Here's the next thing I need you to put into the comment section. These statements are a little long, but I want you to write them if you can. Life is unfulfilling when you never contribute to something bigger than yourself. That's good. All right. Life is unfulfilling when you never contribute towards something bigger than yourself. Average people are mediocre. People are undistinguished. They're ordinary. They're middle of the road. They're unexceptional. They're unexciting. They're unremarkable. They're unmemorable. They're indifferent. They're lackluster. They're forgettable. They're amateurish. They're okay. They're so-so. God didn't call us to be average or ordinary or middle of the road or unexceptional or unexciting or unremarkable or so-so or they're okay. God called you to be above average. He called you to be exceptional. He called you to be great, and we must walk out our greatness. So what happens is, as I hurry along, the Bible says David goes to Saul, and Saul says, you can't fight him because you are young. You are youth. You're in your youth. This man's been fighting since he's been a kid. You are a kid. You can't fight him. And David has to give him your resume. I don't know who this is for, but there are some of you today you are watching this particular Bible study right now in this video, whether now or later. And you're saying to yourself, you know what? I have battles nobody knows about. I have won battles I have not shared. I have won battles and defeated the enemy in areas that people don't even know about. People look at you and say, oh, I would have never thought that was you. That's fine, because I don't look like what I've been through, or I don't look like the battles I've fought. And that's the thing about God that's so amazing. He would allow you to have battles, win, and not look like you were ever in a battle. David looks like a shepherd, but inwardly he's a warrior. My God, some of you look one way on the outside, but on the inside, you are a warrior. You are a fighter. You are exceptional. You are great. God has caused you to do wonderful things, and you have to understand that God is, is calling you to be great. And now you are about to fight a battle other people won't fight. Here it is. Everybody else heard the same decree. Everyone else heard the same challenge, but nobody responds because their outlook is we can't beat them. We can't beat them because we don't have what he has. Goliath is tall. Goliath is big. Goliath has experience, but Goliath ain't saved. Goliath doesn't know my God. And so when you are fighting your battles, you understand that when you fight the battles God has told you to fight, then God is obligated to give you the victory for the war he told you to get into. We often have a tendency to lose battles we should have never been in the first place. I hope this is helping you. Okay, so here it is. So David goes Most of you know the story. Saul finally hires him, says you have the job. He gets stones out of the brook. Some of you heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. He gets 5 smooth stones out of the brook. The reason why he had to get smooth stones is because he was actually using a slingshot, okay? A slingshot. Now, I want to say this and I want to help you. There are many people today who live by a mantra that says, keep your enemies close. No, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. Okay, let me say this again for clarity's sake. There's a statement that says, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So what happens is they keep both friends and enemies close. But I came to tell you that you can't keep every enemy close. There are some people you have to keep at a distance. And the reason why you have to keep them at a distance is because your weapon doesn't work up close. David is using a slingshot. Goliath is using a sword and a shield, but David is using a slingshot. The slingshot is only used used properly when you are at a distance, not up close. So if David tries to go up close to fight Goliath with a weapon that is used for long distance battle, he's going to lose. Can I tell you that some people have lost battles not because they didn't know how to fight, but because they didn't know how to use their weapon? When David fought the lion and the bear, if he had the slingshot, the reason why he was able to kill them is because he had a weapon that he could use that impacted them from a distance. You have to know your weapon. We have to know our prayer weapon, our praise weapon, our study weapon, our mind weapon. We have to understand that we are fighting against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. And we have to understand the importance of knowing our weapon. Because he knew his weapon, he was able to take down a giant, someone bigger than him. And I came to tell you, when you begin to learn how to use your weapon the way God has intended, and he's giving you the experiences, what happens are the battles you win will allow others to see how exceptional you are. You are exceptional. You're not average. You're not mediocre. You are exceptional. But we have to, number one, fight the battles that God has intended, be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves, understand our weapon and how to use it. And when we do that, God gets the glory. We get the victory. He gets the credit, even though we were the ones who people would deem as the one who won, but it is because of God that we won. So I need you today to start fighting not only for your peace and your sanity and your love and your purpose and your future. I need you to fight not to be average. The world is sick and tired of average. Average doesn't make an impact. What's the little extra you're going to do? If you're going to be extraordinary versus ordinary, the only difference is the extra. What extra are you doing? What extra time are you putting into the project? What extra resources are you adding to something you're trying to do? What extra relationships do you need to have? What extra time are you using to put into prayer and fasting? What extra time are you using to get into the word? I came to challenge you today to put extra. As a matter of fact, write that into the comment section. Put some fire in the chat if I'm talking to you today. You have to understand that God has called you to be free from being average. Stop cutting yourself short. Stop speaking negative about yourself. Stop talking yourself out of stuff. David talked himself into a fight, not out of it. And some of you, people can't see how great you are because you talk yourself out of it before you even get into it. I don't want to take the challenge. You have an idea, but you don't want to share it because if you share it, then somebody's going to give you the task of actually completing it. Well, maybe you need to be the person to complete it because now they need to see what's on the inside of you. Stop running from your battles. Start running to them. Know your weapon and know how to use it against your enemy. Listen, I love you guys. I'm not going to hold you any longer. I hope I said something today to help you. I want you to process the different levels I gave you earlier. I want you to think about David's life, but I want you to know that God has called you to be great and greater than most. He doesn't want you to be average. He wants you to be above average. So listen, I love you all. I pray you have a wonderful week. I pray that God's blessing be on you and upon you.